In today's first and Gospel readings, both God through Isaiah and Jesus are using analogies of farming and its fruitfulness or otherwise to teach us important things about the spiritual life. In using such analogies, they help us to understand what we must do to ensure the faithfulness and fruitfulness of our own souls firstly, and secondly the souls of those whom we are entrusted with. Together they tell us that the only way for us to bear spiritual fruit is to work together with God. It is another one of those both ands of Catholicism, divine providence and human freedom working together. In the first reading, Isaiah focuses on how God is providing. God provides the rain and the snow and the sunshine so that the plants grow, and then in the plants' growth, seeds are produced for humanity's sustenance and for future sowing. And it is we who must do the next bit. We must harvest the seed, and then as Jesus tells us in the Gospel, sow again those same seeds wherever we go. So, brothers and sisters, when we're doing our bit, and by exercising our human freedom, sowing the seeds, the question we may want to keep in mind is, should we sow seeds everywhere, especially since in some places sowing fails to produce any crop? I'm sure you've all at some point had difficulty with getting seeds to sprout or plants to grow on your farm or in your garden. A few years back, I remember having to sow 3 times over several months my sweet pea crop. I first planted hundreds of seeds in April, following conventional wisdom that tells us to plant at the beginning of autumn, with very little success. We had some of the hottest and driest autumn days on record. I planted again in May and perhaps got 50% germination of the seeds. Then I tried for the 3rd time and eventually had 2 continuous rows of peas. In this, I say costly, in inverted commas, process, I lost a lot of my seed stock because of the multiple failures to germinate. Thanks be to God that in previous years I had left plenty of peas behind to dry for future sowing. As you can imagine, you can't plant what you haven't got. Similarly, you can't give what you haven't got. Being able to sow seeds depends on us having stored up enough from the year before. Similarly, to impart the Catholic faith to our children, our neighbours, our friends, strangers, we ourselves need to constantly build it up, strengthen it, and replenish it. Sadly, today the Church's stock of faith seeds is rapidly running out, and of course, the less the seeds, the smaller the potential crop. Dear brothers and sisters, I encourage you all to do all you can to build up your own faith so that you may bear much seed for the sowing, and in doing so help to restock the Church with faithful followers. Now, going back to the analogy of my sweet peas and their ultimate progress, as you know, just because I planted hundreds of seeds doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get a successful crop. In the parable today, Jesus speaks of the different ground the seeds are sown onto. While for me the success of the sowing was dependent not so much on the soil, but on the unseasonal dry and unseasonal heat, in general the success of the sowing depends on where and when we sow those seeds. Let us never forget, brothers and sisters, that Jesus is making it clear in the Gospel that we're called to sow the seeds everywhere, irrespective of whether the seeds will bear fruit or not. And like I said earlier, we need to ensure we ourselves are fruitful enough so that we have a stock of seeds to sow. So then, let's get going sowing. In sowing, we must follow the example of Jesus the sower, who, as I said, sows everywhere, irrespective of the receptivity of those who will receive the seed. We must avoid the trap of judging certain people as undeserving of receiving the seed. If the soil of their soul is as hard as concrete as the path, let us pray to the Lord that the concrete be somehow smashed, perhaps even by our love. If their soul is like the ground with a bit of soil and lots of rocks, let us nurture and protect their soul from the blazing sun of sin and vice that would scorch the seedling in them after it has sprouted. If their soul is open to the Lord but so choked by the worries of the world, career, home, success and the like, let us help them cut away and burn those brambles so that they may themselves grow and bear fruit. And every now and again, so that we might not despair, let us pray the Lord of harvest will send us souls with rich soil, so that the seeds we sow may bear a beautiful crop covered in flowers and bearing fruit 30, 60, 100-fold times the seeds we planted. As you know, As humans, we do need this divine constellation of spiritual success from time to time. Going back to my pea plants, in order to ultimately produce a great crop of fresh sweet peas, I still had to put many more hours on my day off, tending, protecting, and caring for them to bear fruit. Similarly, if we wish our Christianity to bear fruit in the next generation, we must also put the time and effort in. And then, according to how much effort we're prepared to put in, combined with ceaseless prayer and always relying on God to provide the proverbial rain and sun to support our good works, we'll see ourselves surrounded in the pews by our children and grandchildren, by our neighbours and friends, and perhaps even our enemies. Brothers and sisters, let us consider how many hours we have each day, and then work out how many of those hours we spend enriching the soil of our own souls, and then from our own harvest going out and sowing those seeds, perhaps many times over, in the world. As Jesus would say, listen, anyone who has ears.